Hey everybody, Tim here with today's review of Doctor Who, story number 68, Planet of the Daleks. So, I don't know, it's the 6 episode thing, like, you guys have already, seen me talk about it, it is what it is. Overall, I would say this is kind of an interesting one, I like a lot of the aspects of it, but it could easily have been trimmed down to a 4 episode story, and you wouldn't have missed a thing. So it does pick up right where the last one left off, which I thought was kind of interesting because for the first Doctor specifically, that's how every single story was. It just bled right into the next story. Whereas now, I didn't even notice when we kind of got away from that. But now it's different. Every story is kind of its own little thing. So the Doctor's kind of sick. Joe goes to go find somebody, and eventually, long story short, the TARDIS gets covered in sap and he almost suffocates, but he's rescued, blah, blah, blah. It's just this long, drawn-out story. Like I said, it didn't really need to be there. But what's interesting is the people who save the Doctor end up being Thalls from Skaro. And we haven't seen Thalls in a really long time. So I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And they've kind of changed the way they look, which granted they were in black and white, but still, they don't look the same. And granted, the last time we saw them, they were basically almost cave dwellers. They were farmers. And now here they are in space doing their own thing. A whole lot of different stuff going on with invisible people and the Doctor being captured and they have to float to the top was kind of an interesting scene. Super fake because they're just standing there like this. It's you're basically a hot air balloon's carrying you and you're just standing there. It's like the Batman thing where they're walking sideways. I was like, that didn't work. The molten ice pools are kind of an interesting thing. As soon as they bring them in, where it's ice cold, it's ice, but it's still liquid. It's liquid ice, and I don't know, it's weird. But it makes sense as they go through the story with it. When we finally see the invisible characters, at first I was like, oh look, it's Sully from Monsters Inc. And then my husband kind of poked his head in and he it looks more like Grimace, from McDonald's and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah. But I mean, there was no thought in this. They legit just had a bunch of fuzzy fabric and just threw it over people. And it was a cop-out. It wasn't interesting at all. Them pushing the Daleks into the molten ice was kind of funny because the Daleks can't handle the cold and stuff. But I liked how the Doctor and Joe never went in the water. It's no, we get paid too much for that. You do that. So I was like, that's kind of interesting. We see the Golden Dalek, and I was like, okay, whatever, the Supreme. Towards the end, when one of the Thalls wants Joe to go back to Skaro with him, and then at the last second she says no, and I was like, I wonder if they kind of knew at this point, because the next story is her last story. So I was like, oh, she almost goes with this guy, she does go with the next guy. It's just an odd little thing. So, I don't know. Overall, I thought it was an interesting story. It's always kind of fun to see the Daleks. I was more happy to see the Thalls, but it just went on forever. And I would have much rather have been a little bit shorter, but it was an interesting one with pretty decent practical special effects. So, for those who have seen it, what did you guys think? Thank you guys for everything, and I'll see you next time for The Green Death.